Well, good evening, good Friday evening, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boost Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great Friday as we sit here 76 days, 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 38 seconds away from kickoff against the Philadelphia Eagles. And let me say, I apologize. I know I've not been here the way I normally am. I've been a bit under the weather and dealing with some stuff. So understand I've been a little bit kind of out of it. So we'll get back on tracks real soon. We will be doing our live stream at 9 o'clock tonight. And, yeah, we'll be there. And this is if you're going to be under the weather right now, this is the time for the next month to be under the weather because there just is not shit going on. There really is not. There's nothing, nada, zero, zilch, zingo. It is so bad that literally Cam Newton comes up with a crazy-ass theory, and that's what the show's talking about. If it's not Dak Prescott, then there's nothing else nobody cares about. You know, here we are. We have the NBA Finals, but yet here it is on the facility. They're talking about, could this be Dak's last season in Dallas, according to Cam? If he doesn't deliver this time in Dallas, it's over. Okay, this is Cam Newton because, of course, you know, every team that when their quarterback doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, they always get rid of him because there's tons of quarterbacks out there you can get. And getting Arch Manning, well, shit, that'll be easy. You know, yeah, we want Arch Manning. Okay, so boom, we got Arch Manning. Okay. Even though he haven't even seen him as a full-time starter yet. But be that as it may, I want to listen into these jackasses for a bit because I know Shady McCoy, you know, you would think Shady McCoy is perfect and has done everything in his life right. Let's go to the tape.
Camera. While I would like to agree with Cam Newton, I think this is just very, very far-fetched. It's not that Cam
very far-fetched,
right? It's that Jerry Jones is going to make Cam Newton wrong. If you wanted to move off of Dak Prescott, you could have moved off of Dak Prescott before, but Jerry only really moves off of his quarterbacks if they get injured. He doesn't move off of his quarterbacks because of average to above average play. And at the end of the day, Dak Prescott is an above average quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He'll win 10 to 12 games more likely every single season. He'll win a playoff game maybe, or he'll go to the playoffs and lose. You're not moving off of Dak for that. Born and raised in Dallas, I've only seen so many starting quarterbacks. I mean, since I was probably 13 years old, I've seen Tony Romo, Dak Prescott with a touch of Vinny Testaverde and a little Quincy Carter early on. And mentioning Quincy Carter, y'all remember, that's the highest drafted quarterback the Cowboys have made in the last 25 years, and that was a second-round quarterback. I don't see a world where the Cowboys move off of Dak, where this is Dak's last chance. But, Shady, what do you say?
Cam coming at him.
Cam coming at him.
Cam been getting wild lately. Is Dak better than Cam?
No.
Career-wise?
No. Cam got MVP.
I like Cam. That's my boy. You know, I'm going to disagree with Cam, and this is the reason why. Because the same thing that Cam is saying, I've been saying this for a while. After they lost in the playoffs to the Niners, right, at home, I said, I don't know if Dak's the guy. It's like they get to these big moments and he don't get it done. Yeah. Okay, the next year after that, they go back to the Niners, right, and he plays even worse. He throws some pick sixes like this game right here. Look at this. I mean, this is real, real bad. I said, you know what? They can't win with him. And then we go to the Packers the next year. I'm saying the same thing, and he's still there. So Dak, I see what you're saying, or Dak, Cam, I see what you're saying, but for Dak Prescott, for some reason, he's the only guy that gets away with these things. Yeah. You know? And it's like, you would think that an ownership would look at that, where this defense is playing phenomenal. We got a top defense. Got all this talent on defense. Got all this talent on offense. Got good coaches, right? And then we
Jason
get to the
Garrett,
big dance. No matter
McCarthy.
how good Dak plays the whole season, we get to the playoffs and he don't deliver. So I got to disagree with
because everybody else
Dak,
delivered,
Cam.
right?
I think that Dak will always somehow, some way, find a way to get out of blame.
Not always. But I think this year, I mean, I disagree with Cam Newton because if you're going to move on, you better move now. Because them teams you just showed right there losing the playoffs, it was all pro after all pro after all pro after all pro after all pro on that roster. And now you telling me Cam Newton is going with this roster, go farther than he's went with those rosters, that just don't make sense. So if you're going to move on, you better move on now. Talking to Andy off camera, first-time head coaches to do good and go to the Super Bowl? George Seifert. San Francisco 49ers, 1989. I don't even know what year you was born. You might ain't even be born.
Wasn't born yet,
See?
Jay.
I sure wasn't even alive last time that happened. So if he is looking at Arch Manning, he better look at Arch Manning now, because it's not like the Cowboys is going to the Super Bowl or they are going to change something dramatically this season. I think it'll be a solid year for the Cowboys. Dak will play well in the regular season. Like you said, might win a playoff game, but it's not like this team is going to the Super Bowl. So I disagree with Cam, because I don't have them going to compete for a championship.
Yeah. I think how do y'all think the Cowboys eventually move off of Dak? You've been there when they moved off of Brett Favre, the great Brett Favre. Shady, you've been in
They had somebody
Philadelphia
else
when
to
they moved off
replace
of
him.
Mike Vick.
McNabb, too.
And when they moved off of McNabb. I was in Philly when they moved off of Vick. I was in New York for a heartbeat a year before they moved off of Eli. What do y'all think it takes for the Cowboys to finally move off of Dak Prescott?
It's hard for me, right? Because I would have thought that when you have this type of roster, this type of team, and you go in the playoffs, because people like the regular season, that's cool. But for quarterbacks, you get graded on, what are you doing in the playoffs, right? I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. I watch you guys, critique him more in the playoffs than the regular season.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I look at Dak, when I watched him go up there to the Niners, and he was the weakest link on the squad. I don't care how well he played in the regular season. The playoffs, he didn't deliver at all. Matter of fact, we can really say the reason why they lost is because of you. And then as a coach, as an owner, when I go into the self-scout is, okay, how can we get better? What do we need to improve on? How the hell can you not look at your quarterback? Okay, let's run it back again. Then the next year, right, he has an MVP caliber year, number 2 in voting. And then we get to the playoffs at home. We had like a 16 and 7 game winning streak at home, coming up against a first-year starting quarterback, Jordan Love, with a super young, inexperienced team with the Packers, and then we lose. Hold on. So now, self-scout again. And as I look at
This is what we've gotten down to,
guys.
guys.
How can you
There's
see
nothing.
that was the issue? And you know what you do? The next year you
All
get
it
$60
is,
million.
all talk shows are
As much as I want to blame
hate
Dak, I
Dak
can't even
Prescott, blame Dak
Because who's
Prescott.
holding you
Dallas
accountable?
Cowboys are the worst team in the
If I'm a
NFL.
running back and I'm having a great years, but then I'm fumbling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you can't count on me, or I'm always hurt, whatever it may be, how can you not look at me like, yo, we got to move on from this? Nah, I'm going to give him more money. So I think Dak is really safe.
What did it take the Eagles to move on from McNabb?
He kind of had the same situation, right? He was doing really, really well. And I love Don, so I don't want to, talk bad about him, but I was being honest. He's doing the kind of same thing because he went to 4 NFC Championship games, right? Then he went to Super Bowl, and he had some
4 NFC Championship.
Right.
Okay, right. So even him, right? He's getting there and he wanted to get it done. You had the best. You have Andy Reid as your coach at that. Okay, and then I think some of the leadership qualities wasn't there for a player like that. Like everybody wasn't really bought into him. And then eventually they had to move on. And they seen this young dude, he wasn't young, but Michael Vick. He came in there and
Was Mike a backup to McNabb?
Mike was the backup, right? He was doing RPO stuff, right? He was only doing Wildcat offense. He came from jail. He wasn't really that good. It was funny. Like, this is Michael Vick, but then that rust knocked off, and you seen 7 from Atlanta. And it's like, yo, your replacement is in the building. Everybody gravitates to Michael
That's
Vick. He
the
was a
key.
good leader.
That your replacement's in the building.
If I could get my coaching,
We ain't got a
how I am
replacement
into
in the
Michael Vick,
building.
we might be something. And then they moved on. And we didn't skip a beat.
So it's 2 things for me right here, because the Packers moved on from Brett Favre. We lost in the NFC Championship game, and Brett played at an elite level. But obviously, they knew what they would see in that practice, that they had an elite level dude behind them. But not only that, you took Aaron in the first round. So you're going to give him an opportunity to play. But for Dak Prescott, Shady said it a little bit.
You ain't got nobody
And
back.
we was all on the show, the weakest link. If he was on the show with us, he'd been voted off first. And if Dak Prescott shows that again in the playoffs, because right now Jerry Jones has equipped you with 2 number 1 wide receivers.
Ooh.
And if you get on this offense and you show you are the weakest link in the playoffs and we lose a game, we have to think about moving on. We cannot keep doing the same thing and getting the same.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a real question then. If you say that Dak Prescott is the weakest link in the playoffs, what is the strongest link that the Dallas Cowboys have had in the playoffs? That's a real question. Tell me what the strongest link has been when we've been in the playoffs. Bet you they don't have an answer for that one. Ain't nobody played well when we get into the playoffs. Mike has been in 4 playoff games, 1 sack. In recent history, Zeke Elliott in the playoffs hasn't gotten 30 yards. Tony Pollard in the playoffs, the losses, hasn't gotten 30 yards. Offensive line, or actually the team, the last 49er game, 14 penalties. But, you know, I'm just a Dak apologist. That's all I am. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys at 9. Peace out.